Right, I'll try and answer that. Did the board see the video before we got the award? No. Did the board see the video after we got the award? Oh, yes. When I was on my way back, from having won the award that evening when we were going back on the train, we'd obviously phoned through and, let people know back home. And by the time I got back, I was getting phone calls from chief execs and senior managers and all kinds of stuff. Oh, you must come and present this to the board, et cetera, et cetera. And a week later, I took 3 or 4 members of the team and a couple of patient representatives, et cetera, went to the board and presented it, et cetera. And again, I emphasized to them there that this is a product that's easily transferable. It's transferable in terms of the fact that we've done the hard work of getting a lot of the external shots, lots of the shots of the CT scanners, for example, you could use for anything. You can just lift them and just put them in the introduction shots of the hospital or whatever. So a lot of those things can be walking around the wards or whatever. A lot of the staff are interchangeable as well, because the breast cancer patients would go to the same ward as the colorectal cancer patients, for example. So lots of things could be, and most importantly, the design of it is there, the template is there. Even if you do the whole filming all over again, it took us a long time to get the scripts approved, things like that. And they were fully on board, the chairman, chief exec, all the managers, saying, oh, great, we'll have to get this across the board for all the specialties. A year on, nothing has happened. And I don't say this in criticism of the managers, and I'm not standing here saying us and them. These are difficult times. They are having to make difficult decisions. Financially, they're having to make incredibly difficult decisions, some of which, I dare say, they'll get wrong. And in my opinion, this kind of stuff is things that they should be investing in for the future. And it's up to us to keep being a pain in the backside. And that's all we can do. We have to persist, and we have to just demonstrate the fact that we genuinely believe that we have got evidence for supporting what, obviously, if you come up with some wacky scheme without any evidence base to it, that's different. But if you've got evidence to say that this particular type of operation works, or this particular type of information works, or whatever, we've got to champion it. And it'll eventually, the doors will open. You just have to make yourself sometimes a bit of a nuisance and stick your head a bit above the parapet, which some of our clinical colleagues perhaps are less willing to do compared to others. Is that politically correct speak, or have I shot myself?
We have time for 1, possibly 2 more questions. And was there another question?
Is there anybody in the audience, my turn to ask the audience, is there anybody here at director level or assistant director level in the organization, in any NHS organization? That's brilliant. Have I shot myself in the foot if I was your surgeon? By saying what I just said? Would I be shooting myself if I was working in your hospital as one of your surgeons, saying what I've just been saying? And are you comfortable that it is, and would you be comfortable that it is not true in your hospital? That everybody, that if...
I think we've got topics where we probably need to communicate it, but actually, on the whole, I don't think that anyone would make that comment about...
Well, and you're probably right, because the very fact that you're here from your hospital is a reflection of the fact that they do take patient experience seriously. Well, and the fact, as I said, the fact that there are... Give me a shout if you've got a job.
Okay, I'm going to go for 1 question now. Brilliant. Can I just say, I have been to Nottinghamshire at one of their best practice events, and one of the things that you do see at Nottinghamshire is this completely embedded positive experience. So I would endorse it as an observer externally. And I would also say that you'd be allowed to say that and you would not be shot in the face.
No, I'm allowed to say it. I'm allowed to say it in my hospital, except that they just don't speak to me again.
Right, 1 more question.
Hi, Dee Kine from Pathfinder Healthcare Developments. I wanted to ask a very pragmatic question. You're sharing this and saying it's replicable and suggesting that that's what your colleagues do, and I think that's really important. There's lots of other ways that people could fund this. A, could you tell us what it cost you to make it happen and how you funded it so other people can think about this? And B, for others to think there are numerous ways that these kind of films could be funded to make them happen. So it doesn't just have to sit in the lap of managers who may be the roadblock. There's always ways of getting around roadblocks.
Well, I did mention the funding for that came from an educational grant, and I got the grant from the first source I tried, which is Johnson & Johnson. Ethicon Endosurgery are instrument manufacturers for a lot of the equipment that we use in our hospital. And they have a huge educational arm, J&J do. And you apply for that and you got that, so that's not a problem. It's £15,000 that this project cost us. And that £15,000 is entirely funded by J&J funding. We didn't even try getting it from the NHS. It would have been a pointless exercise, and there's no point in trying to do. The NHS has got other priorities. In terms of funding it, again, for people who've got similar kind of things to do, there are lots of sources that you can get it. You can get it from R&D funding, because you can get it actually from R&D funding from your own hospital, or from regional R&D funding, or from national R&D funding. Also, apart from that, charitable organizations will easily, it's not a huge amount of money. And once you've got the template, if breast surgeons in our hospital wanted to do this, it wouldn't cost necessarily 15 grand, it'll probably cost half of that. Okay, if another colorectal department wants to take the same thing and use it, they could. But except that you wouldn't get the virtual contact with the same staff. It would be different staff. But the surgeon in Nottingham is unlikely to be saying some things very different to what I say, or the nurse in Nottingham, or the way she counsels the patient for stomach care is not going to be hugely different to the way we do it in South Wales. So there are ways around it, and it's just a question of getting the clinicians involved to get G'd up about it, and then go knocking on doors. I'll shut up.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.